Sport has produced some of the most iconic moments in history, but has also thrown up some dark and unexplained mysteries that have yet to be solved. In this episode of the TTM Sports Show, we bring you 5 unexplained sporting mysteries.
Number 5. Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz Jr. In 2019, Anthony Joshua was on top of the world, undefeated world heavyweight champion, about to make his US debut at the world famous Madison Square Gardens in what would be a routine defense against the huge underdog, Mexican Andy Ruiz Jr. He took the fight with just 7 weeks notice, stepping in to replace Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who was refused a license after twice failing a drugs test. The fight itself, where it was widely expected Joshua would blow Ruiz away with his power, would start slow until exploding in the 3rd round, AJ knocking down Ruiz before Ruiz would score a knockdown of his own that visibly shook the world champ. With Joshua clearly not himself, he would go on to be knocked down a further 3 times by Ruiz before the referee would stop AJ in the 7th round, in what would be the biggest heavyweight upset since Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson in Japan in the early 90s. In the aftermath, it was revealed Joshua was suffering from a mysterious health issue in the lead up to the fight, which caused him to feel tired and fatigued. Rumours also circulating he had suffered a panic attack in his dressing room just moments before the fight. None of this has been confirmed, however. Clearly something wasn't right with the Olympic gold medalist. Joshua would go on to avenge this defeat just 6 months later, beating an overweight Ruiz by a unanimous decision in Saudi Arabia to regain his world heavyweight titles. But the mystery of why he was able to be so convincingly beaten by Ruiz at Madison Square Garden remains one of sport's biggest mysteries.
Number 4. The disappearance of Shergar. Shergar, the Irish-bred thoroughbred racehorse, had a historic year in 1981, winning the prestigious Epsom Derby, Queen Elizabeth II and King George V stakes, among other highly lucrative races in the jumping calendar, but was remarkably retired that year. Owned in part by the Aga Khan, who would in 1982 sell 40 of his shares in the horse for a whopping £10 million. But the Aga Khan would keep Shergar on his farm in Ireland until 1983, when an armed gang would steal Shergar from the farm. This would spark a hostage situation, and the sum of £2 million was demanded for Shergar's safe return. These negotiations lasted just 4 days after proof could not be provided that Shergar was still alive. Despite various members of the IRA claiming responsibility for the theft of Shergar, no arrests were ever made and no body was ever found, meaning the mystery of who stole Shergar remains a mystery to this very day.
Number 3. Oliver Mccall's breakdown. Former heavyweight champion Oliver Mccall was one of the top heavyweight fighters throughout the 90s, first tasting a world title win in 1994 with a stunning knockout victory over British boxing legend Lennox Lewis. Mccall would eventually lose to another British heavyweight legend in Frank Bruno, but in 1997 he would get another shot at the title in a rematch with Lewis in Las Vegas. The fight would be highly anticipated, with Lennox looking to avenge that 1994 defeat. On the night, Lewis would dominate Mccall for the opening 3 rounds, but at the end of the 3rd round, instead of heading back to his corner, a shell-shocked Mccall would walk around the ring looking very emotional. His trainers in his corner would shout at him furiously to come over, but he wouldn't even acknowledge them. Mccall would begin the 4th round, but again would just walk around the ring with no intention of engaging with Lewis, only bringing his gloves up when Lewis would throw punches at him. Mccall would throw just one single punch in the whole of round 4. When the bell rang, he would return to his corner and be seen stood visibly crying. Despite this, he would however come back out to the centre of the ring for the start of the 5th, but again refused to throw a punch after Lewis cornered Mccall and landed with a stiff right hook. Referee Mills Lane would finally stop the fight, ending the most bizarre heavyweight title fight in history. Mccall claimed his actions were part of a rope-a-dope strategy. although later that year he would have his boxing license revoked and be deemed mentally ill. He did eventually return to the ring, however, in 1997 and even went on a 12-fight undefeated streak, but his bizarre performance to this day remains a sporting mystery.
Number 2. The death of Emiliano Salah. In January 2019, Cardiff City were in the midst of a relegation battle in the Premier League. In typical Neil Warnock fashion, he would go in search of a goal scorer to fire the Bluebirds to safety. He would eventually get his man in Nantes forward Emiliano Salah. Cardiff would pay French club Nantes £19 million for the Argentinian, who had outscored Kylian Mbappe in the first half of the Ligue 1 season. After completing his medical at Cardiff and officially signing for the Welsh club, Salah would return to France to say goodbye to his teammates at Nantes and collect some personal belongings before being due to report back for training in Cardiff on the Monday. Instead of taking a commercial flight back, a private plane would be organised by football agent Mark Mccall. Mysteriously, it would be reported on the Monday morning of January the 21st that Salah had not arrived in Cardiff. The light aircraft carrying only Salah and the pilot went off the radar flying over the Channel Islands, amid terrible flying conditions. With no sign of the plane, a huge search operation was started, but tragically after 2 days, Guernsey police revealed that there was no hope of finding the plane. It would later be revealed that the aircraft was not licensed to carry passengers, nor was the pilot qualified to fly such a distance. A chilling WhatsApp message was sent from Salah to friends back in Argentina, claiming he was scared after takeoff. 2 mysteries remain. Why was an international footballer worth £19 million allowed to fly in a plane under those circumstances? And would Salah himself have been able to produce the goals to save Cardiff from their eventual relegation?
Number 1. Ronaldo, 1998 FIFA World Cup Final. At the 1998 World Cup Final in Paris, the stage was set for Ronaldo, dubbed the world's best player. He had fired Brazil to the final with 4 goals and 3 assists en route to the final in Paris. It was the expectation Ronaldo would light up the biggest game in world football and help Brazil retain the World Cup against host France. But incredibly, just 72 minutes before kickoff, the Brazil team sheet would be handed in to the FIFA delegate without Ronaldo in the team, but instead, Edmundo would be leading the line. Mayhem and chaos would ensue all around, with rumours circulating Ronaldo was injured. However, after pleading with manager Mario Zagallo that he was okay to play and fear of public outcry in Brazil, Ronaldo would indeed start the game for Brazil, emerging last out of the tunnel at the Stade de France. Ronaldo would have no impact on the game and was clearly not 100% or even 50%. In the 3-0 defeat to France, who would win the World Cup for the first time. In the aftermath, it was revealed that just hours before kickoff, Brazilian legend Ronaldo had suffered a convulsive fit. Speculation would also circulate, ranging from the Brazilian Football Federation demanding he play to Nike insisting that their poster boy played. And even after allegations Ronaldo had been drugged, to this day, no official explanation has ever been given for Ronaldo's initial omission from that starting lineup, and then the subsequent U-turn that followed. Ronaldo, of course, would famously 4 years later go on to score 2 goals in the final in Japan and Korea as Brazil won their 5th World Cup. Can you think of any other sporting mysteries? Then leave your suggestions in the comment section below. And remember, for us to keep bringing you great content, don't forget to like and subscribe to TTM Sports.